So this is different than a lot of things I talk about. I don't want to come off as like a CoryxKenshin hater, because it's not it at all. I don't really watch Cory's channel, but for the sake of this video, I watched his video about the whole YouTube racism thing. I watched that just for the sake of like knowing what I'm talking about through this video. So I don't believe racism has anything to do with the whole YouTube thing. Does YouTube have a messed up age restriction policy thing with the whole automated bot thing and all that going on? Yes it does. That whole thing's messed up. There's plenty of times where certain content creators are attacked while others aren't. And does YouTube have blatant favoritism? Yes it does. You see, YouTube, I personally believe, like, peak YouTube was like 2016, where, you know, you could not sit here and be careful what you upload and try to please every single body just because you're scared your content will be age restricted, or you won't make money off of it, or YouTube won't advertise it as much, or whatever the case may be. And it seems like now, especially nowadays, when you upload something on YouTube, you need to triple check that thing, because any little tiny thing can get your video age restricted, demonetized, copyright strike, whatever the case may be. So in Cory's case, he was going on about how he had uploaded a video, it had gotten age restricted. He appealed it. When you appeal an age restriction like that, YouTube's automated system immediately goes to a person for it to be manually checked to confirm the age restriction or retract it. They denied his appeal. So what he did was check if Markiplier had uploaded the same video. Not the same video, but the same gameplay that showed the same scene that got his original video age restricted. Markiplier's was not age restricted, and his video was still good to go, which upset Cory. So after being upset and, you know, the information being, you know, passed on to YouTube, they then removed his age restriction, and then after some time had passed, gave him another age restriction for the same video. And then when he double checked as well, Markiplier had also gotten an age restriction to that video. See, that right there is not, I personally do not believe that's a race situation. I believe that's just YouTube being completely dumb, YouTube being unfair, and YouTube having straight up favoritism towards certain creators. Because let's be honest, they do. People like Markiplier and people like PewDiePie or Jacksepticeye, despite them being willing to call out YouTube for their problems and for their wrongs and for the things that's wrong with the actual like terms and stuff like that, YouTube, I guess you can say, is grateful for the fact that when people say the name Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, or PewDiePie, the first thing people think of is YouTube. They are basically YouTube's John Cena. Because for John Cena, people who don't watch WWE, you say WWE, first thing people are going to think of is John Cena. Or you say John Cena, first thing people are going to think of is WWE. That's kind of like how it is with YouTube, with those guys. People say YouTube, you usually think of PewDiePie or some shit. So it's not so much as YouTube is being blatantly racist towards Cory. I believe it's more of a favoritism thing, because there are some things that I agree with Cory on that video. It's just not 100% everything, because again, I very much disagree about YouTube being racist. Come on, like, YouTube's not racist. I really don't think that's the case. Honestly, do I believe that the whole using the race card thing is a bit of a scapegoat, I guess you could say? Yeah, kinda, honestly. If I'm gonna be honest, yeah, I feel like it's kind of a scapegoat. But he is not wrong about the whole YouTube showing favoritism thing, because YouTube just blatantly will turn a blind eye to a lot of creators doing some crazy stuff. Let's be honest. Back to the year 2016, you could upload some crazy stuff back then and things will not get taken down, especially back then. 2016 Keemstar should have been removed from YouTube, even by 2016's lenient standards. even by their standards. But given the fact that he was giving so much traction to that website, and it seems is it really so far-fetched to think that this guy is bringing a bunch of people to go to our website on a daily basis? We can get him to get away with some stuff like that. It's not, it can't be. Is it really so far-fetched to think that could be the case? And now, is Keemstar still that flagship boy around 2022? Probably, but to a lesser degree, because YouTube's terms are constantly changing. We're always getting that damn email saying, hey, YouTube made an update to the terms and conditions and all the other stuff and whatever is allowed on YouTube. We get that email constantly. We get that email all the time. YouTube's constantly changing and evolving to go with how things are changing nowadays. I think a lot of Cory's videos are a result of that. And because he made a point that he will be trending, and then randomly a video from a few years ago will just get age restricted, and he believes that he's being targeted just because he's trending. I disagree with that. Let's say you uploaded a video from that was uploaded 2016, and then you're suddenly trending on the YouTube's trending page. When you're trending on the YouTube's trending page, YouTube is going to evaluate your channel to know what they're promoting, to make sure, like, hey, is this guy like good? So we're good for trending him and stuff like that. So when they evaluate your video from, let's say, 2016, they're holding it and giving it the evaluation by 2022 standards, not by the 2016 standards. I hope I'm explaining this and making sense. That's how old videos from so far back can get, penalized for things that are not okay nowadays, but were okay back then. Is that stupid? Yeah, it is stupid. Should YouTube really fix up their system and change that so that doesn't happen to so many people and so many people don't get so upset? Yes. YouTube needs to change that. Yes. There's been some things wrong with YouTube for a long time. YouTube is far from perfect. It's been harder for creators to grow. It's been harder for creators to create a community. It's been harder for creators to make money. I myself personally, making money is at the bottom of how much I care about YouTube thing. I'm honestly at the top of my, I guess you could say, pyramid of it. It's building a community. I value that more than making money. That's why my sponsored videos aren't really that often, because I value creating a community, but first than making money from YouTube. But YouTubers like Cory or PewDiePie or Markiplier, obviously this is their job. They feel like I have to follow YouTube's rules whether I like it or not if I want to keep making money off this. And that's completely fine. This is your job. You're doing what you want to do. God bless, man. Do your thing. But I do disagree with the whole racism being thrown into play with the whole what is wrong with YouTube thing. He says, that there must be someone at YouTube thinking, we got to hold this black man down because he's doing too good and all that stuff. I genuinely think that is not the case. I think individual people do think like that in the real world. Let's be honest. Yes, there are some people like that. But as YouTube, as a company, as a whole... Alright, my recording cut off. I had to go back to where I was... Continue where I left off. So, YouTube, as a company themselves, they are not racist. There are people in the world out there who think to themselves, this black man is doing well, I need to knock him down a peg or some stuff like that. But YouTube themselves is not racist. I don't think YouTube is racist. Do they have problems with their automated system, whether detecting to age restrict people or give them copyright claims or anything like that prevents them from making money? Yes, YouTube does have a problem. YouTube's had a problem for a long time now. But YouTube themselves as a company is not racist. Cory very much had a point saying that, with the whole YouTube thing being messed up and the whole YouTube system being messed up, especially with the whole, I guess you could say, their communication being not well, because Corey very much should have gotten his diamond play button. Should have gotten that, and didn't get it yet, and things like that. You're supposed to communicate with stuff like that. YouTube very much has a problem with that stuff. But is YouTube themselves racist? No. Does their business model and the way they work needs to be changed and basically be easier to communicate with, which would bring more people in? Yes. YouTube themselves, they have a problem, but they are not themselves racist. That's a bit far-fetched to say that YouTube is racist. There's a lot wrong with them. There's a lot wrong with the company, a lot wrong with the way they do things, and a lot wrong, especially with the favoritism that they show towards certain creators. But they themselves are not racist. That is not the case at all. I genuinely believe that is not the case at all. Again, no hate towards Cory. No hate to him at all. Even from someone who doesn't even watch the guy, I can tell you Cory's probably one of the most chill YouTubers on the platform. But I do think that part is a bit far-fetched. I don't think YouTube's racist at all. I think that he's right with the whole there's a problem with them and that they show favoritism between certain creators. But racist, I don't think that's the case at all.